This is the Criterion Creeps podcast, and tonight we're talking about Secret Honor from 1984, directed by Robert Altman. The tagline for this film, RJ, anyone can be the president.
Is that true?
Yes. Yes, it is now.
Even
you. Why not?
I could be the president of the States?
Yeah. Yep.
I wasn't born there.
That's fine. We'll change the rules. We'll change the rules.
Cool.
In his New Jersey study, Richard Nixon retraces the missteps of his political career, attempting to absolve himself of responsibility for Watergate and lambasting President Gerald Ford's decision to pardon him. His monologue explores his personal life and describes his upbringing and his mother. A tape recorder, a gun, and whiskey are his only companions during his entire monologue, which is tinged with the vitriol and paranoia that puzzle the public during his presidency.
Is that the letterbox synopsis?
That is.
Some $10 words in that bad boy.
What, like tinged?
Vitriol, tinged. I've only heard that in the dictionary.
Yeah, in the big thick books.
The big dictionary books, those big guys.
Yep, big dictionary.
Wild.
So RJ,
Yeah.
what do you know about Richard Milhous Nixon?
The only things I know are the things that have been expressed through 90s, early 2000s cartoons like The Simpsons and Futurama.
So both Matt Groening products.
Yeah, that is my first interaction with Richard Nixon would have been the Richard Nixon head from Futurama. And I mean, that's pretty much an ironclad representation, I think, right?
So you've never seen Anthony Hopkins in Nixon?
No.
Okay.
I looked up Frost Nixon this week, but it's not available on any streaming platforms except to rent from Cineplex Odeon Galaxy. And I said, fuck it.
Well, I thought it was on like Hoopla or something like that.
Last I looked, it was just to rent through Cineplex, and I was like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Well, should have asked, because I've got quite a library of Nixon cinema.
It's COVID, dude. I don't want to touch your stuff.
Well, that's probably... should never touch my stuff. Look at that. Oh, look at that. It's on Crave Stars. The bane of our existence. So yeah,
Stars, man.
I know about Nixon pretty well, the same as you, as far as like where I would have been introduced to Nixon.
Futurama?
Simpsons. Because they never shied away from making Nixon jokes. Be it him saying that he also liked that type of beer. When JFK said he liked Duff beer, and he's like, I also would like to express my fondness for that particular brand of beer. Yep. And everyone goes, boo! And he gets all shifty-eyed. And it's like, that man's never drank a Duff in his life.
You can tell.
And when I think it's Bart Simpson or Homer who pulls down his pants it's Bart doing his impersonation of Richard Nixon.
That might be Homer, actually. I
am not a crook. And then he gets kicked. I can't remember the details of that, but there's that. And then, of course, the iconic episode of when Homer goes to college, where the pig gets drunk and has to be helicoptered out, and they're like, "I'm sorry, Bo. I've never had to expel anyone before, but that pig had some powerful friends." And there's Richard Milhous Nixon to say, "Oh, you'll pay. Don't think you won't pay.
Don't think you won't pay." That's Nixon, baby.
Yeah, and it's like you're always like, "Who is this guy? Who is this long-nosed weirdo?" This, and then of course Futurama continues to escalate, where he is one of the many floating heads in jars that are kept alive in the 30th century, but then they actually go well above and beyond most characters that appear in this gag, where Nixon actually winds up winning re-election in a later episode to become the new president in Robot Nixon form.
Well, I believe the explanation is only no body can run more than twice. And he says, clearly, I am no body, because he's the head of Nixon.
Right.
You understand?
And then when he declares Nixon's back.
Nixon's back, baby.
Yeah. Good stuff. I think there's a really great monologue that he gives.
in Futurama.
Yeah, and talking about all the things he can do, about like he's going to break into people's houses and wreck the place.
Oh yeah.
As well as harvesting baby organs for zoo meat.
It's just Nixon, man.
That's our Nixon. So that is like pop culture's Nixon.
Yeah.
And then you can like, who is this man that people are not terribly fond of, or at least like comedians and cartoonists? Well, so you have to go back a while, because Richard Nixon was a man that was around. He had quite a political career. He was vice president to Ike, old Dwight Eisenhower.
Let's get busy, Ike Eisenhower.
Mm-hmm. So he hung around there, and then he was going to be handed the reins. And when he ran for president against that old JFK, barely lost, they say. And so he kept lurking, though. I mean, he was part of HUAC, rooting out those communists. There's some really great footage of him in the fantastic documentary Atomic Cafe. And yeah, eventually though, he winds up being president in 1968. There's the Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail that kind of documents.
That's about Nixon?
It's part of that campaign where he's running for the presidency. Hunter S. Thompson, not a fan of old Nixon. They did have a conversation at one point. Yeah, it was the 1972, which is concurrent with the rise of the Watergate scandal. The beginnings of it were 1972. I guess the only thing I remember from the Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail book is him like being stuck on a train and like sitting with Nixon, and one thing they could talk about was football, because in his high school days and probably even college, Nixon played a little bit of football. RJ.
Well, I mean, he kind of says something around the same thing, right? Well, he was kind of into sports. He was into the boys. He didn't like girls very much. That's Nixon's thing, right?
That's Nixon's style. That's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was a complicated character. Very complicated.
Okay.
And mostly, I'd say, considered until the 21st century the worst president in history, because not only is he impeached, and then before he could actually get ousted, he resigned.
Resigned.
Yes, he resigned after saying, "I'm not going to ever resign," and then he did, because that's what decent people used to do. So even now, Nixon's like reputation is being reformed due to the actions of current administrations. Yeah. So Nixon's not as alone as he once was, as in terms of like that. There was other presidents, but now there's even more who've been in the impeachments. So anyway, RJ. So would I describe myself as a Nixon fan? No,
it seems like it.
I'm intrigued by Nixon. Because it's like sometimes you're like, why does everyone hate this guy? What's the deal? And he was also the president during like a pretty fascinating period of time in American history, the late 60s through the 70s.
20s?
A lot of tumult happening at that point in time. Very authoritarian. You have Cambodia. You have characters. Another great Simpsons stock character of Henry Kissinger, dropping his glasses in the toilet, and you're just like, who's this Henry Kissinger guy?
He says, I can't admit to anyone that I dropped my glasses in the toilet.
No one must ever know.
That's I believe, what does Nixon call him in this? Dr. Shitass. Henry Kissinger, which I thought was one of the funniest nicknames for a person I've ever heard. Dr. Shitass.
Remember when his Halloween mask is used in Point Break?
Kissinger?
Yeah. No, Nixon.
Nixon?
Yes.
I mean, I saw Point Break when I was like 8 years old, man.
Well, there's the Reagan mask, the Nixon mask, and they're used during the bank robbery. And it's like,
all I know.
So though the Richard Nixon Halloween mask, because it's just like, it's that weird little nose of his, and he's got like he's got quite a jowly face, and this particular like the Norman Osborn hair.
Well, he apparently, based on this movie, he says that was just the cartoons exaggerating his image, and that's not how he actually looks. That's what he would like people to believe.
Right. Even though...
Because this is actually him talking, right?
No.
This is true fact.
Mm. How do you like that appearance of Nixon in the Watchmen movie?
I don't mind it.
Okay.
I don't mind it at all. Yeah. I think, Nixon works for the story, but that's just Alan Moore, right?
That's right.
Just doing his thing.
Yeah.
Just doing his thing.
So, yeah, old Nixon. Anyway, so I watched Secret Honor a long while ago, kind of probably right out of high school. And, like, I was, like, probably really into politics at the time and just learning about history. Oh, yeah. And, like, so I was like, Secret Honor. This movie that's directed by Robert Altman, the man behind McCabe and Mrs. Miller, The Player, Long Goodbye. So lots of movies on this guy's. But I was like, and this is a one-man show, a monologue for an hour and a half, starring this guy, this Philip Baker Hall dude. Who the hell is this guy? At the time, of course, I didn't realize that he was in Paul Thomas Anderson movies.
I know him as the library cop from Seinfeld.
That's right. That he is.
That's my top most foremost. And after I posted the Creeps Wednesday Dudes thing, a friend of the show, Reese Haxall, pointed out that he is the doctor in Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yes, he said,
is that the doctor?
Yeah. There's definitely a prick involved.
A little prick. And I was like, I don't know.
There's one prick.
Just one prick?
No.
Not multiple prick?
Just one. There's definitely a prick. Yes, there's a prick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, he has many faces.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What did you say his name was? Roy Ward Baker?
Philip Baker Hall.
What about Dylan Baker Hall?
No.
Dylan Hall Baker?
No.
What's that guy's name?
Not Philip Seymour Hoffman, who's also in Boogie Nights.
Who's the lizard in the...
Dylan Baker.
Dr. Dylan Baker. Not Hall, though?
No.
Okay.
It's not that difficult, RJ. It's really not.
Why do people have so many names?
Because words. Words, RJ.
Stupid words.
Yeah. Okay, Bob. So.
I don't know this word game. Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, Secret Honor. When I watched this movie, like way back when, it was totally up my alley of like, yeah, Nixonia, and it totally embraces the rambling, racist, vile piece of shit image that like kind of hovers over Nixon at this point.
It's good.
So I was like, yeah, it's great. The ramblingness. I thought Phil Baker Hall was a much better Nixon than I think Anthony Hopkins was. Because Anthony Hopkins physically is just like so burly and thick and wide.
Yeah.
And Nixon is not those things. And I mean, Phil Baker Hall physically is not similar really either to Nixon, because Nixon was like pretty like, I don't know, just when you see images of him, he's almost like a Funko Pop. He's this large head and like kind of like little body, always in these like suits, and so it's fine. But yeah, Anthony Hopkins never the best Nixon. He nailed the cadence, I guess, to a degree, but he was still Anthony Hopkins. But here, like Phil Baker Hall, bit more of an obscure actor, I think. No, not a movie star like Hannibal Lecter, but
what about Frank Langella?
Frank Langella from Ninth Gate.
Well, yeah, among other things. Is he not Nixon in Frost Nixon?
He is.
Okay. For a second there, I was like, did I get that wrong? Is he not in that? But from the Ninth Gate.
Yeah, you nailed
Remember that movie?
I do. I remember that movie.
I know how stuff works.
Yeah. So.
Good at it.
Yeah, so you've never seen Frost Nixon?
No, I was going to watch it this week, but
you've seen the trailer.
Yeah.
Okay. Because if what is it the president does? If he does it, it's not illegal, and it's all building toward that. The whole
is that true?
I don't know. Yet to be seen.
All right.
Yeah.
Interesting. We'll see how the next few months play out.
Yeah. So I mean, Secret Honor though is also a movie that you watch it once, and I don't know if you're going to be in a big mad rush to watch it again.
I mean, I don't think I'll ever watch it again.
It's a movie you watch And I mean, it's like watching a play with the performer, and the chances of you seeing that same play with that same performer ever again is unlikely, because the next time you see it, that person's going to be that much older. And it's going to be completely different. It's going to be a completely different production. So movies kind of fix those moments in time. So you get this sort of like cross purpose here of this movie, which was shot at the University of Michigan. Oh, look at
Something
that.
Like that.
Look at that recall. Based on a play by Donald Freed, Arnold M. Stone.
Some of my favorite playwrights.
I know, you're a big playboy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, those guys, along with who's that dude who wrote that play? You know,
Christopher Marlowe.
Not that one. Not that one. I can't remember. I'll think of it. Okay. It's popular. People know what it is.
You know the one. David Mamet.
You know that one.
You like David Mamet?
No. What's that? What's that play where it's just like two guys in a room?
Waiting for Godot.
Not
they're
one,
not in a room.
It's similar.
No
to that.
exit.
What is it? My old boss made me read it. I can't remember what it was. It's not Samuel Beckett. What's the
Waiting for Godot?
No, not his other play.
His other one.
Samuel Beckett. Maybe it was Endgame. Maybe it was something else.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't Waiting for Godot.
Okay. It's the other one with two guys waiting around.
Yeah, but in like an apartment building.
Okay.
Okay, let's go to.
There is one called Endgame. There is one called Endgame, so it's probably that. There's also
might be that.
There's also one called Play, and it might also look like involve two men. Oh,
they all involve men in rooms.
Endgame's got 4 characters in it.
Endgame does?
Yep.
How the fuck?
Supposedly. Yeah, there's 4. One called Ham, one called Chloe, one called Nag, one named Nell.
What about Horoscope? That wasn't the one I saw.
No.
Okay, I'm gonna try to find the name.
Okay, you figure it all out. Okay, so anyway,
it was Sam Beckett.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. That he is a playwright. So
sure he is.
You got it. You got it, buddy. So, Secret Honor. Watching it again, and also having seen way more Robert Altman movies at this point, and being less fascinated with Nixon, who I should also mention was a big movie buff. There's an entire book actually called Nixon at the Movies.
What did
Nixon,
he like to
Nixon
watch?
on the movies. Everything. He had his own I'm not sure if he had made his own theater, but he's one of the presidents who really took advantage of having a theater.
What do you think his favorite shows were?
I could look it up. I have a copy of this book called Nixon at the Movies or on the Movies. That I've never read. I got it used years ago, and I've just always wanted to check it out, but I haven't. And there's also a series of books that I've been wanting to read. It starts with Nixon Land, and it's a trilogy of books.
Okay, a list of U.S. presidents' favorite movies of all time.
Okay, the books I'm trying to mention is called Nixon Land: The Rise of a President and the Fracturing of America, written by Rick Perlstein.
Rick Perlstein, who's that?
Wrote Before the Storm, Barry Goldwater, and The Unmaking of the American Consensus.
Is that good? Is that a good movie?
It's a good book, probably. I think that was his first book, followed by Nixon Land, and then there's a third book that came out called The Invisible Bridge: The Fall of Nixon and the Rise of Reagan.
Is that good?
I think so.
Okay.
I have them, but I haven't read them yet because that's how life goes. So this movie, one of the things that I did not remember rewatching this was like how much movement there is with the camera, which is good.
Okay.
Because if this had been like one shot or something like that, it would be like you were sitting in a play, and it's like, this isn't taking advantage of the cinematic medium. No, this is a roaming camera, and there's sort of this whole setup with surveillance of himself. Even like after him being the president, he's got cameras set up everywhere. He's watching the hallways around himself, and tape recording to this day, which is one of those things where like, why did the president record himself the way that he did?
Why did he?
That's a riddle. People are like, why did he record this stuff and talk about all these illegal things he wanted to do when he knew he was being recorded, and then not even bother to like try to get rid of those tapes? They were just sitting there.
Well, I mean, why would we do this thing? Record the illegality of this.
About our future crimes?
Yeah. So I have some answers. I don't know if you want them now or later.
Hit me with it right now.
It was Endgame, the Samuel Beckett thing I read.
Very nice.
And I couldn't find a list of Nixon's favorite movies. There were a couple websites, but as soon as you clicked on them, I got spammed the shit out of the website, so I bailed. But Gizmodo has the 5 spookiest movies that President Nixon watched in the White House.
Okay.
Do you want to hear about these?
Yes, please.
Number 5, What the Peeper Saw from 1972. Number 4, Man on a Swing from 1974.
Huh.
Number 3, Twisted Nerve from 1968.
Oh, yeah.
Number 2, The Collector from 1965.
Oh.
And number 1, Wait Until Dark from 1967.
Very nice.
When did Nixon? When did he leave office? Was it after 67?
75, I think, is when he resigned.
Okay, so story checks out then.
Yes. I'm not sure how much time he had for the cinema in those last couple months.
Those later days?
Yeah.
So do those movies sound cool?
Yeah, I've seen
Allegedly,
half
they're
of
the
those.
spookiest.
I'm not familiar with Man on the Swing, though.
Should I just exited out of it?
He resigned 74.
Okay. So story checks out.
Yeah, I think, well, sorry, it would have been 75, I think, when Ford took over, maybe? Or not? I'm just misremembering all these little things. Nope, he took over the next day. There was no anything in between. So there you go.
Interesting.
Anyway, camera roaming, zooming in.
Yeah, sure.
Zooms. But yeah, I mean, so there's not a whole lot to talk about because it's literally just Nixon rambling on to a tape recorder that are notes for Ramon.
Roberto.
Was it Roberto? Okay.
Roberto.
And he said, give a gift basket for the groundskeeper who just died, for the wife, make it a small thing. Nixon.
And then make it a big basket.
And then make it a big basket afterwards. And he's just constantly the art of making this stammer and talking over yourself and stopping and grunting, and it's not as easy as it looks, folks. Let me tell you.
Welcome.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's just him spilling his guts and constantly like, oh, I start over, go back to this point, but it's like it's still all being recorded and it keeps building. It has this momentum. He just recaps his entire life. It is a 90-minute monologue.
Yes, it is.
And yeah, that's a lot to carry, both for a performer and for a film. And I guess the question is it successful? As a fan of Nixonia, yes, I think it's really cool. I've always been a fan of this and still am. Again, it's not one of those things though you're going to be like, I really want to check that out tonight. It's not one of those types of movies. If you better bring some interest to Nixon. If you're going to watch Secret Honor, like, you better know some stuff, because this is going to leave you high and dry. Like, because this came out, the film came out in 1984. I'm not sure when the play was written.
So it was some time before. I watched one. Yeah, it was some time before. I think it was like I only watched one supplement, and it was him talking, like, what's his name? Fucking Dylan Baker Hall. That's his name, right?
It is now.
It is now. Dylan Baker Hall. He was talking about, it's just him for 20 minutes talking about his career, which was actually pretty interesting, about how he went from New York to LA. And then I think he said it was like, it was on Broadway or he did the stage show for a year and a half, 2 years. And then it was after that they made it a movie like a year or two later.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
Does that timeline jive?
It jibes.
That jibes? Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why I brought that up.
Because I wasn't sure how long the turnaround was between when the play was written to when it was filmed.
I think it was like 2 years.
So,
yeah.
So Nixon resigns 74. With 10 years later, in that window, we get this Secret Honor play that's kind of like, I think some people might go into this thing with this idea that it's going to exonerate Nixon, or as like a celebration of this like malign figure that doesn't deserve discussion. And it's not. I mean, I guess I just don't know the history enough of how this would have been received, and that's really interesting because I don't know if you happen to check out those 2 commentary tracks. Even though I had the DVD,
Both of them?
Yeah, there's 2 of them.
No, I only watched the actor supplement. That was
Okay, you didn't watch any of those features of like famous Nixon speeches or concessions or the famous Checkers speech.
I know about Checkers from Futurama.
Yep.
But no, I was too busy watching DS9, man.
Wow. Well, there you go. I understand.
Did you watch them or what?
I checked out a few of them. I checked out. There's like one. It's like Nixon, a self-portrait, because I will never pass up the opportunity to watch something that's called a self-portrait.
Really? What about Jarrett Duncan, a self-portrait?
Well, I'm not that type of guy.
Not yet.
Not yet.
So what? Tell me about these commentaries. Then.
Okay, so there's a commentary of Altman, and there is one with the co-writer Donald Freed. Okay. And I'm curious, maybe if the Altman one had. I didn't watch the commentaries. I should mention that. Okay. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'd be curious to see like where his reputation was, because he's still alive when this comes out, and I'm sure just thrilled that people are still obsessing with him. and probably this is like a snapshot of what the thinking of like what's Milhouse's day-to-day life for his dad working at the cracker factory.
Well, he did work at the cracker factory, but he got fired
after was it 15 years?
You know what? I don't know about you, but I've never heard the name Milhouse other than Simpsons and Richard Nixon. Have you ever met or even heard of another Milhouse other than those 2?
Yes, I'm pretty sure I have.
Get bent, man.
Not in modern times.
Okay,
but
it's actually a not bad name. I kind of like it.
It's classy.
Milhouse.
But Milhouse has ruined it.
Well, so I'm a little like So actually, one thing I will give Criterion Channel, they finally added the ability to subtitle for English-speaking movies.
Oh, wow.
So that's how I got screen caps. Yeah, it finally came. And I didn't realize that Nixon Milhouse, doesn't have an E at the end. Is that how it's typically spelled? Milhouse?
Milhouse.
That's how it was captioned, at least. I don't know if that's even that is accurate. But what were you talking about?
I think we're talking about Secret Honor still. And
what is that?
I mean, this is going to be really the only opportunity to talk about Nixon. So yeah, I mean, like I said, we've talked about this in various movies. Having context probably is helpful for watching certain types of movies, and whether or not that should detract from a movie, whether or not that's impossible. I think when you're dealing things with politics, unless you're going to do an Adam McKay type deal where you're going to unpack everything. But even that, you see how that plays out over time, and people go back and watch these things when you're a generation or 3 removed, and when they go back, they go, I have no idea what this means. All I was thinking about while watching this, actually not all the time, but sometimes I was like, oh man, when is the Adam McKay Trump movie coming?
I imagine as soon as the story is done, which maybe never.
Maybe there'll never be stories again.
Well, movies don't exist anymore.
Right. There will be.
And I, for one,
Netflix there'll be Netflix though. There'll be Netflix miniseries, and it can be like more laborious to get through, more like padded out, and they have all the wigs lined up.
Yeah, they would. Who would play Trump in the Adam McKay thing?
Paul
Christian
Dano.
Bale?
Paul Dano.
They would fat suit him up or what?
Have you seen what Paul Dano looks like compared to young Trump? They're already halfway there. And then,
are you sullying the good name of Paul Dano?
Look up Trump bedroom and see that one photo of him from the 80s, and then you look at Paul Dano and you go, huh.
But what about current day Trump?
Well, then you got to get to the fat suit territory.
Brendan Gleeson?
No.
Okay.
So anyway, Secret Honor is a recommend from me because I like that Nixon, and we can talk about the movie more once you talk about what you like or not like about this movie. Because I heard you. What did you think of this Secret Honor?
What do you mean talk about the movie more? Is this not the end of the conversation?
It could be.
Full disclosure, I fell asleep 20 minutes into this.
Okay.
Full on knocked out. Like Andrea had to wake me up. She was like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Aren't you watching this movie?" I was like, "Huh? What?" And she was like, "Did you fall asleep?" I was like, "I guess. I don't know." So I fell asleep for about 10 minutes, I think. But I put it back on. I rewound it the next day.
Okay. You got you took the tape out, you blew it out.
And I popped her back in there. And then I gave it her a second chance. So I think it was just the day that I watched it, I was just a little tired. I wasn't bored or anything like that. I wasn't put off by it. It just put me to sleep. But then I watched it the next day. And because Criterion has the ability to subtitle English now, I was just blown away by a flurry of screenshotable material. So the majority of my watching was just writing down timestamps because I was like, "Ooh, that's a good one. Ooh, that's another good one."
So what you're saying is you like this screenplay. You like this play.
I do.
You like the turns of phrase.
Well, we have talks of Dr. Shitass and talks of fuck 'em, and but I think one of my favorite ones was like he was talking about Kissinger and he's like fucking Kissinger and he's like fuck you piece of shit. It was something like that and I was just like yeah. I don't know why, but I just thought it was really funny in the sense of who would be talking about Kissinger in that way. It's just funny. So I got a lot of screen caps and I think this is what the kids would call a slow burn, but not even really. You get in the first little bit, you get little bursts of it, but then it gets kind of brought in a little bit, and then you get a burst of it, and then it kind of gets brought in a little bit, and then later, it's the bursts get longer, and then they get longer, which is good. So as we said earlier, I'm not the biggest Nixon stan. I don't simp for Nixon in any way, but I know a little bit about him, and I thought this was a nice little dip into it too. So I do like Secret Honor. Think it's cool. I would like to see a little bit more of this, and then I would like a little bit more of the actual Nixon stuff. But because this is the only Nixon film in the Criterion, maybe for now, I'm probably never going to watch any of it. So that's okay. But in terms of Criterion movies, I see why this is here. I think this is one of those movies that actually does fit into what I think people think Criterion is all about. This one-man show, it's pretty cool. I did like that Philip Baker Hall was talking about he was saying how in the stage show like the movie is only 90 minutes, but sometimes the stage show would be like 2.5 hours long. Oh, wow. It's like, could you imagine how spent you would be after that?
Yeah,
like he's up there, he's giving it his all. So yeah, lots of good. I really like the screenplay for this movie. It's fun, which is, I know a word people don't like, but it's like, it is fun. It's like seeing the deterioration of this man. You're like, yeah, you smile and you're like, I'm on board for this. 'Cause it's not me that this is happening to. What a delight to see someone else fall apart. Screenplay's good. I think Nixon's story is interesting. I wish I knew a little bit more about Nixon going into this. It's the only downfall.
Yeah, because I don't know if you could tell there is some flim-flam, I guess, some playing with like reality as far as like presentation, because it's like whatever, it's a play. You can do something with it, because the whole idea is that what is the secret honor of this, which is that he engineered the Watergate scandal so that he would be framed for something that was like a lesser crime than the real shit he was doing.
And what was he really doing, Jarrett?
All like heroin deals and like big corruption, that kind of thing, like that. So yeah, that's the idea, is like he concocted it as a cover up for the real shit. Yeah. It doesn't even matter, because it's all about like, I don't know. There's like that final last 2 minutes of this, of his final big rant about mother, and
then the inevitable fuck him,
because he's going to pull that trigger on that gun, getting more and more loaded as the hour goes by, and then he's like, no, I'm not going to give him the satisfaction. Yeah.
Which, I mean, I think you and me have that every week, right? With this podcast.
That's right.
Every week, are we going to do it? Are we going to pull the pins ourselves? And then it's fuck them. Fuck them. We'll do it ourselves.
Show up every week out of spite.
Out of spite, exactly. But yeah, I think it's good. I think it's an interesting movie. It's not something that, it's like I said, I will likely never watch it again. But if anyone ever asked me, which I don't think will ever happen in my life, but if someone said, hey, you know a good Richard Nixon movie? I'd go, well, do I have a movie for you? I'm doubtful that day will ever come. But, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Well, I mean, there's some pretty good selection of Nixon movies. We got
there's a good selection.
Yeah, there's that All the President's Men, which I did happen to rewatch today. It's good. You can definitely feel like that's the movie that always gets referenced by David Fincher for his influence for Zodiac.
Okay.
As far as like the Alan Pakula influence of like the 70s conspiracy movies, because he's got his trilogy of All the President's Men, Clute, and Parallax View. Of those three, Parallax View is the best one. That movie is super great, and All the President's Men is like very good. Like it's a super solid movie. It tells the story of journalists with their nose to the grindstone. They're gonna bring down something because they know something's fishy here at this Watergate hotel. Which I could ask you, RJ, what do you know about Watergate?
I know that in Forrest Gump,
yeah,
he is in his hotel room and he sees some flashlights in a room, and he's a little concerned because he's like, maybe their lights went out, and he just wants to help. And then I know that based on that, we are now here. Is that accurate?
Yep, that's exactly correct. That's all you really need to know.
No.
Everything I know is from Forrest Gump.
Well, if you ever want to find out more, you can check out that All the President's Men.
Is this available on a streaming platform of any type?
Crave Stars.
You son of a bitch.
So you can watch that, and you can watch Frost Nixon, which is also worth watching. All the Nixon movies are pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think they get probably worse over time, I'm sure. Because there's the ones I've never seen, like recent entries in... I don't know about this Elvis Nixon movie.
Well, who's still making Nixon movies, though? You know?
Well, maybe they're going to be making a big comeback soon.
I don't know. Do you expect to get anything other than Trump movies for the next 25 years? Like,
oh man,
can you imagine? So that was one thing I didn't talk about in the.
Oh, look at that on Letterboxd.
Yeah,
someone's put together the What Nixon Saw movie list from 495 movies.
Any highlights?
I don't know a lot. There's many movies. But yeah, there's
Borat on there?
No, sadly, Nixon did not get to live to see the day where Borat came out. But so Penny Lane, who directed that documentary Hail Satan, I liked. She also directed one called Our Nixon, which is all made of Super 8 home movie footage from one of his closest aides and a convicted Watergate conspirator. Just hanging out with Nixon, and I should watch that at some point. That sounds.
You should have watched it this week.
I don't know if that's available on any streaming platforms.
Should have been.
Should have been. And then there's that Sean Penn movie, The Assassination of Richard Nixon. Yeah. See, everyone. Oh, and then of course, there's that. But actually, have you ever seen Dick?
Tricky Dicky? Is Dick the one with the two blonde girls on the cover?
Kirsten Dunst and Michelle Williams?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't remember it, though.
Okay. Do you know who plays Nixon? Perhaps one of the greatest Nixons of all?
George C. Scott?
Dan Hedaya.
Dan Hedaya. Is that what he's been up to?
That was in 1999.
Oh, okay.
Look at that. Yeah. I've seen 20 Dan Hedaya movies.
What else has he been doing lately?
I don't know. Well, let's see here. Newest. He was in Fantastic Beasts.
Ugh. You. Gross. All right, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, and he's in the Lift remake, Down.
Well, I guess we'll get to it next year, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
I think my cat just puked in the background.
That's exactly what that sounded like. Is that cat a fan of Richard Nixon?
Doesn't seem to be. Not based on what's going on.
No one's a fan of Richard Nixon.
Well, she's got pretty good hairballs coming out here. So
beautiful.
You all right, Hazel? She seems okay.
She's fine.
Onward.
You want to hear what Richard Nixon fans thought of this? Who hated this movie? All right. Sure. We got Scott Kelston with half a star.
Okay.
It holds its subject as worthy of sympathy. A veneer of comedy laid over a defense of power.
What does that even mean, Jarrett?
It means why are they making this about a monster?
Well, I don't know.
I don't know. Like,
so,
come on, kids.
Blase?
Come on, kids. You can do better than that.
Well,
I mean, I'm sure that like when you start getting like a movie directed by like a named director that's like, I'm gonna paint Donald Trump, for instance, just to pick a random president, as a sympathetic character who's more complex and with any sort of amount of sympathy whatsoever. Kind of like, remember W, RJ?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
People, that didn't work great, did it? Because it was a little too close to the time for it to happen, I think. I think like you need to have a little bit of space between when you start making these sort of pieces.
I think time is a good buffer, you know? You got to have a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Scott Kelston has like not bad taste. One of their favorite movies is American Movie, which is pretty good.
That is fantastic.
But then they also just gave Phenomena 1.5 stars.
Phenomena,
the Argento film.
Phenomena. I see. That's poor.
You know? But they gave Midsommar 0.5 star, so it's like, I don't know.
That's a little bit.
I don't know.
That's a bit strong, but
it's a bit strong. Maybe they're onto something though.
Cheap Thriller 79, 0.5 star. Maybe this material worked as a stage play, as a showcase for the actor playing Nixon, but as a film, it was like watching paint dry. Whew.
Was it?
It's all dialogue, but I didn't find it clever nor amusing, just rambling nonsense.
I mean, paint dry is a weird thing to say. They have a bunch of 0.5 star films, but they're just like newish horror films, like the new Nightmare on Elm Street, Jason X, the new Blair Witch. So it's like, whatever. Their favorite films include To Live and Die in East LA, McCabe and Mrs. Miller, Apocalypse Now, and Repo Man. But they gave Mad Max Fury Road 1 star.
Oh boy.
And it's one of their popular reviews.
Nice.
So.
One more. Olivia, 1 star.
Okay.
This is not Nixon. Sputtering and flustered, stumbling along, this paints Nixon as a fumbling, conventional, older male of power who is obsessed with, quote, setting the record straight. Outburst after outburst. It seems to think it is stating a great message about ego, power, and corruption, but it's just a pretentious portrait of an unknown man crumbling for reasons already ripe with the message it is trying to drive into our heads. Unknown man. Altman's style is not compatible with theater material, plays, etc., so this doesn't even have the cinematic elements I love to latch onto. And then brackets, half watch.
I find it's weird that this person's standing up for Nixon so much. It's like, do you know him? Like, why do you care that much? This person, Olivia, also gave Mad Max Fury Road a low rating at 0.5 star. Favorite films include The Long Goodbye, Pain and Gain, the Creeps approved film.
With Mark Wahlberg and The Rock?
Yes, that's the one. Santan Tango, and Oliver Granger's favorite film, Sully.
Oh.
Starring Tom Hanks.
Oh, here's some more. I'm actually surprised I'm not seeing any, like a conservative, like, wow, he was our great warrior king.
Allegedly.
Well, read the Calgary Sun sometime. Michael Sammerdyke, one more. 1 star. What happened to Altman in the 80s? The good thing, the miracle, is that he rebounded so strongly in the 90s. I watched this for maybe 20 minutes. It didn't tell me anything I didn't already know about Nixon. I know the movie gets all funky later on and diverges from history, but I couldn't wait for that.
This person's a little funky.
Funky.
Not in that way. They have like 18 billion 5-star films, but they only have 14 half-star films, which include 2 movies I don't know: The Hired Hand from 1971, Daisy Miller from 74.
Okay.
Here's some other half-star films, Jarrett. Mikey and Nikki, Criterion film.
Shit. Starring John Cassavetes and Peter Falk.
Yes, indeed. Cat People, Striptease. These are half stars. Performance with Mick Jagger. Yeah. And Creeps, all-star Canadian film, Videodrome. A half a star. From Michael Sammerdyke from Big Stone Gap, Virginia.
Well, that's it right there, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
No.
Uh-huh.
Cool. Well, there you go.
Yeah. I mean, that's that, Mattress Man.
Secret Honor. You're in it or you're not, I guess. It's gonna, I don't know. Is Robert Altman's technical skills as a filmmaker going to like bring you into the story material? It's a play. It's about Nixon.
Yeah.
You better be into Nixon. Otherwise, probably don't watch it. But that's kind of like that's the story of the Criterion Collection. See, like most people are going to watch the movies that they want to watch or not. But we're going to watch them all because that's our job.
Well, we're the only ones actually doing. Well, not yet.
No. Do you think there's like people at Criterion who have watched every Criterion film? There's probably like a guy, but I don't know if they all do. Or they might. At this point they pretend. Oh yeah, no, I checked it out last night, but they didn't.
I guarantee you're probably right. There's probably one guy, and his name is Chris Criterion, and he is the only guy who's ever done it.
Yeah.
That's his legal given name too, not like he changed it afterwards.
Well, we need to get him on the show.
Chris Criterion?
Yeah.
Give us a call, bud.
No, get on there. Any final thoughts here on...
I think I shouldn't have said Chris. I think I should have said Colleen Criterion, because Colleen is a lot more like collection.
That's true. It's close.
Letter-wise. That's my final thought.
After the break, fuck 'em.
Fuck 'em.